For time beyond memory, people have experienced at first hand physical, visual, and auditory events which could not be explained, and so it was feared. Today, we call this the paranormal. Our podcast will delve into this world of the unknown. So sit back and join Tina, Jake, Chris, and Bill and journey into the darkness with us. Welcome to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 20 of Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. And today we've decided to do the Enfield Haunting.
One of the police officers witnessed a chair move on its own. Janet herself spoke in a strange voice of an old man. She saw a chest of drawers moving across the floor.
The Warrens were involved in this case.
An inhuman spirit phenomena was in progress. Now, you couldn't record the dangerous, threatening atmosphere inside that little house, but you could film the levitations, teleportations, and dematerializations of people and objects that were happening there.
So for people who haven't heard, sit back and relax. Chris will give us the intro. Come on, Chris, you're looking very confused there.
I thought this house was haunted, judging by...
It's very
ominous.
Yeah,
very ominous feeling.
Silent. Anyway, how you doing, guys? As Tina said there, we're going to talk about the Enfield Haunting. A very interesting case. There's been a couple of documentaries on it. You've seen the documentary, Tina, have you?
Yeah.
You've seen it, Jack? I think you said you'd seen it as well.
I have as well, Chris. Just thanks for asking.
Oh yeah, Billy, you're here as well. Sorry. You thought you were the ghost. So yeah. I got my information from two sources today, so it's not going to be a long random list. We're not going to be here for 10 minutes or anything like that.
Spit it out, Chris.
Would you believe it's the BBC?
Okay, there we go. Now the second
History
one is
versus Hollywood.
Right, there you go, done.
Anyway, so this apparently began in 1977 in a suburb of Enfield in North London in England. The police were called to 284 Green Street, where a single mother of four, Peggy Hodgkinson, had stated that her daughters, Janet, who was 11 at the time, and her older sister, Margaret, heard knocking at the property. And when they went to try figure out where this was coming from, they couldn't find the source of it. They called the neighbours, who also witnessed it, and then after which they called the police. And while at the property, one of the police officers witnessed a chair move on its own. And I think that police officer actually swore or wrote down a statement and signed onto it that they had actually witnessed this. However, another source said that on August the 30th, 1977, Janet told her mother that her brother's beds were wobbling. And the next evening, Peggy heard a noise from upstairs, and when she investigated that, she saw a chest of drawers moving across the floor. And she said it felt like it was trying to trap her in the room, and was going to try block the door. Now, I don't know what she was feeling at the time, but I saw a chest of drawers moving.
You'd be moving quicker.
You'd be moving quicker, yeah.
So let's go back there. The Enfield Haunting, is this known as a haunting or a poltergeist case?
Would you believe? Yeah, I have it down as both. I have it as haunting / poltergeist.
I think it's the most famous poltergeist. Case. Poltergeist means noisy spirit. It's a German word. And
I think you're 100% right, Billy. But I think where the thing might come into it is that the poltergeist, or the spirit, for want of a better word, spoke through the child. And I don't know if that's, like, I don't know.
Yeah, the reason I'm saying poltergeist is because they tend to be able to move objects more than ghosts. If you have a regular haunting, in brackets, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people who investigate or read up about it kind of tend towards poltergeist activity. Because kinetic energy moving it, whatever.
And then, the Warrens were involved in this case, but it was only once or twice that they had come over. Isn't that right?
Sorry, I had to turn my mic off there. I was going to sneeze.
Yeah, the Warrens were involved in this, so some say they were over once or twice. I think a lot of people think that they had spent a lot more time there.
Yeah.
But seemingly not.
Like the movie, which I don't think needed, but it's a lot more elaborated upon. It was actually Maurice Grosse and I think a gentleman by the name of Guy Leon Playfair, I think was his name. I think they were the two heavily involved investigators at the time, but there was a lot more involved as well.
Morris, I think, was so involved in this.
Yeah.
He was involved in this in a big way. And I think what I had heard was Morris had a daughter called Janet, and Janet had died, and this little girl was called Janet as well. So I'm thinking he probably felt a bit of a connection there. God love him. And he was there from the start.
Yeah, that's right. I heard that as well.
Didn't actually know that.
And any documentaries with him in it, he comes across as a real, a proper gentleman.
Morris?
Really nice. Yeah.
But he was there from start to finish.
Yeah. But I didn't know that about the daughter, the same name, and I didn't actually know that.
As far as I know. But I didn't even know, let's say a few years ago when I had heard about this case, I didn't even know that the Warrens were involved in this.
Yeah.
There's a reference to it in one of their movies, The Conjuring, I think.
Oh, The Conjuring 2 is literally set there.
2, yeah.
Set there, yeah.
But as Tina said, they were only there for a very short amount of time.
Would you believe, and I just want to get your you probably know this already, but Janice herself did confirm that her and her sister, Margaret, played with a Ouija board. And they said after that fact is when all the paranormal activity began. Did you know that?
No, interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it? She confirmed that, yeah, we did play with the Ouija board, and that's when it all began. And they said over 18 months following the initial knocks and bangs and all that kind of stuff, as you were saying, Billy, furniture was tossed around the place. There were strange whistling sounds. Janet herself spoke in a strange voice of an old man. It gained notoriety from the Society of psychological, whatever that word. Sorry, my beg your pardon.
Parapsychology?
No, it's physical research of two members who was Maurice Grosse and Guy Leon Playfair, and they were convinced there was something going on. Whereas another member of that same society, Anita Gregory, who was a lecturer in psychology, believed that the media and the presence of those two individuals was only adding to the situation.
Yeah, because it feeds off energy. There is another theory that poltergeist was coming, the girls were causing the poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
Because there's a theory that teenagers and young kids can manifest
their hormones.
Manifest these events.
And then, I mean, this was so much in the limelight of the media. They were trying to debunk a lot of the stuff that was going on. So they had her with her mouth full of water and tape across her mouth to see if this spirit or poltergeist would speak through her. And seemingly he did. But then you said something this evening, Chris.
Yeah,
which I didn't know.
Yeah, with any case, there's always going to be the counter opposite or the
cynics.
To say exactly with any case, and it's not just this but yeah, apparently the Hawks claim is there was two people from that society mentioned earlier that caught children bending spoons, and based on the voice recordings, I actually seen today that no one was permitted in the room when Janet was actually talking in that strange voice. Obviously just her and the recorder, and I'm assuming probably Maurice Grosse was there. Now that's only assumption on my behalf. They weren't allowed in there. Janet herself admitted that some of the events were fake to see if Maurice and Guy Leon Playfair would catch them out.
Yeah. And
she said they always did catch her out. Before the movie came out, which is The Conjuring 2, Janet said about 2% of the activity was fake. The last thing I have on that was in 1980, when she was asked how she felt about the whole thing, Janet said it's not haunted with a smile, and her sister, who was sitting beside her at the time, told her to shut up. Later, Janet did say that she didn't feel the spirit was evil, meaning that the house was less likely to be haunted. That's what she apparently meant. But
And another kind of fact, you were talking about the movie there, that you know the movie Ghostbusters, the original movie,
yeah,
back in 1984, there's actually reference to the Enfield house in that movie. The Gozer, the destructor, that was apparently mentioned in the house when they went to investigate it, which is pretty cool. The spirit shouted, started to moan, sorry, Gozer, help me. So it was
really?
pretty,
Cool.
it was pretty cool. Like, I only found that fact today.
Interesting.
Can't remember the
Didn't know that
website I
either.
found it, but it's definitely referenced from it.
That's an interesting one, though. And like Ghostbusters, I think
And
it's early 80s.
there wasn't Bill Watkins or Wilkins, Bill Wilkins was the main voice, but there were other voices that came through.
Yeah, tell them.
There was a guy called Andrew Gardner, apparently. There was Stuart Sertain. There was Joe Watson, and my favourite name was there was a Fred, and then there was a guy called Dirty Dick. So
I thought he would have left him out.
yeah, well, that's why I left it to last. I don't know about that one, but that's what it said on the website. Again, I can't remember the website, but it was a legit website.
Jake, when was the first time you heard about the Enfield haunting?
I heard about it years ago. Yeah, it's a very famous one.
Oh.
And there were 3 deaths in the house as well.
Yeah, so Bill Wilkins, that is confirmed that he did actually die in the house,
there,
in the armchair. That was confirmed by his son Terry.
Yeah.
But what was the other 2 deaths, Billy? Do you
Just
know?
give me a few moments.
I'll keep talking while you're doing your fact checking there. So yeah, as Tina was saying there earlier, Ed and Lorraine Warren did investigate the case briefly in the summer of 1978. And Ed states afterwards, and this is in quotes, so he said, not to mention that the many hundreds of hours of tape recordings made of these spirit voices speaking out loud in the rooms.
Oh.
Well, even with everything that was going on, whether you believe that this happened or it didn't, and I mean, this one has so many question marks over it, and but the girls did say that they had faked certain things to see if they'd be caught. But without that, I seen the interview of that police woman.
Yeah, 100%.
And she swears that she did see it was a chair moving with nobody moving it. But also there was neighbours who came forward as well, and one of the neighbours, a man, he had seen Janet upstairs and she had levitated across.
Yeah.
He's seen it, he said, with his own eyes. And another neighbour, a woman, had said the same. She had seen Janet as well going across. There's a certain room up top where you could see right through or something. Yeah. And she seen her levitating as well. So there was a lot of people who witnessed things that had no benefit. It was of no benefit to them to say this.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually love the part where the police officer saw it, because they have a lot to lose.
Yeah,
especially back then, and they are trained to kind of spot things that other people wouldn't generally see in everyday use. Like you hear about pilots seeing unidentified objects, blah blah blah, etc. etc. But
she
I
said
find that
she
really
seen
really
that
intriguing.
chair.
Yeah,
Like,
but getting back to the deaths really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weren't people, but two goldfish died during the night. And when talking to the spirit Bill through Janet later in the day, the voice said, "I done that," adding that he electrocuted the fish with spirit energy.
That's actually a good one.
So yeah, on Christmas Day, the family woke up to the loss this time of their pet budgie that passed during the night, but Bill didn't take responsibility for that. He actually has the same name as me, and so it's pretty cool. That
I really thought. I know I shouldn't be laughing because a goldfish passed away on a budgie as well.
People love their pets. Listen,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, I have a lot of dogs, and I love every one of them. You know,
2 goldfish, not 1.
2 goldfish.
Oh, so there was 4 deaths in the house.
3, 2 goldfish and a budgie.
And the man.
Bill.
And Bill, that was 4, but she said 3. But you know me.
Got a shovel, Billy.
Bury you with Chris, yeah. What do you think of this, Jake, so far? What's your thoughts on it?
The animals that's just kind of digging.
I'm only
for
quoting what I
something,
got
so-
off.
No, but them saying that, I think that's just. Right.
Goldfish with spirit energy.
I think that's just digging for something to talk about. Like,
I'm still going back to that name, Dirty Dick, to be honest with you.
Well, I have to say, in all the years, from all of the cases that I would have heard, I loved this one, the Enfield. And the documentaries and programs made about it. I just love the Enfield Haunting.
I think it's because it's so close to home as well.
Yeah,
like, even
it
though
is.
it's in the British Isles, kind of, and the, you know,
In the 70s.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, we were talking about the Amityville last week, or sorry, in the last episode, and as I said there, it's like any publicised or kind of really well-known case, you're always going to have the yes side, and you're always going to have the no side,
and the maybe side,
and you'll have the in-between as well. And as last week as well, we're just communicating the information that's out there.
That's all we're doing today. Like I was saying about the pets and stuff like that. But the house is still standing today, and people are still living in it. There's families in it.
They rent the house, don't they?
Was that paranormal?
Is that paranormal? There's
a demon dog barking
in the background.
He's cool.
But yeah, so to do, I think to do rent that building now. But just, I'm going to be asking you lovely questions now in about 15 minutes as well. But another thing I've seen there in relation to the voice that was speaking through Janet, some believe that it may have been actually encouraged by Maurice Gross. Janice said during an interview that he told her, quote, all we need now is the voices to talk. And as a year later on Channel 4, she said, I felt used by a force that nobody understands. I really don't like to think about it too much. I'm not sure the poltergeist was truly evil. It was almost as if it wanted to be part of our family.
Yeah.
It didn't want to hurt us. It had died, and what was this? It must be tried to be at rest. The only way it could communicate was through me and my sister.
It sounded very angry though well, like that's what that this aspect of it that you were talking about, the voice, that's absolutely fascinating me, because number one, they still trying to debunk it today, but they haven't really debunked the voice yet.
No, because if it was Janet that done it, they said, for a kid's voice, the voice box wouldn't be able to do that. And if it was able to do that, it can only do that for a couple of minutes without damaging the voice box. And this went on for a long, long, long time. So they can't come up with
information
definite.
Back then, like previous tenants of the house, wasn't available like it is today. Like there was no internet. There was, like, that family were unfortunately very, very poor, and I think the last thing in their mind was who lived there before them. They just wanted a house over their heads. You know.
Well, yeah. So that's what I'd be saying about trying to debunk the voices. It's weird.
Yeah.
The voices are definitely an interesting one. And I think, Billy, we're going to play some of them on the podcast, and now we'll actually put more in now.
Say Dr. Belloc. What is it? Let me hear you say my name. Let me hear you say my name. Come on. Say my name. Come on. Let me hear you say my name. Come on. Let me hear you say my name. That's not my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris. Say Dr. Belloc. Come on. Let me hear you say that. Come on. Let's hear you say Dr. Belloc. Could you close that door down? Say Dr. Belloc. What is it? Now, if you squeak the bed, I can't hear you talking. Now, say Dr. Belloc. Come on. Come on, say it for me, Dr. Belloc.
Dr. Bellow. Right, that's good. Shut up, door. I'm 72 years old. I come from Jewel Park graveyard. And I have right near the church where Rena lives. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all make a gang and go to the pub. And then we pick your house. Because I used to live here. And I will tell you some more. And if you don't get anyone else, just set Mr. Hook and Mr. Playback.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died. Just before you died and just after you died.
Days before I died, my day, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
Bill, if you're there, would you answer me the following question? What have you done with Denise's 30p?
Headed down to the radio, downstairs.
Sorry, Bill, can you say that again, please?
Headed down to the radio, downstairs.
Righto, Bill, I'll go and look. Thanks ever so much. Why can't Janet feel you?
I'm invisible.
You're invisible. Why are you invisible?
So much H-O-S-T.
Did any friends go with you?
Yes, all of them. All the dogs, 68 dogs.
And what do you got 68 dogs for?
So that they can protect me from you killing me. They can bite your head off.
How can we kill you, Bill?
You can shoot me off.
Now, how can we shoot you if we can't see you, Bill?
By praying to God.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Bill.
By praying to God.
By praying to God. So, what you're saying is we could get rid of you by praying to God.
Yes.
So there you go, guys. There's a few more. You want to make up your own mind?
Exactly, that's what it's all about. Give your own opinion on it. But Janet believes a priest helped calm the activity down in 1978. However, the activity didn't actually stop. Peggy still heard noises, and her brother said it always felt like you were being watched, even after the fact.
I think you can still go and investigate it now today, I think.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
Ting was.
you can hire it out. So it's
Okay.
not being lived in by a family. It's the Enfield
Yeah.
Demon House or the Enfield, whatever they call it. But
Council house.
But I think it's, yeah, I think it's well booked up. Like it could be 2 years in advance.
Have we all here seen the famous, well-known, famous pictures of Janet levitating?
Absolutely, yeah.
Jumping.
You've seen it, everyone's seen it. So, going around the room here, what is your thought? Forget about all the other. I seen a good kind of thing about it today. It's not that it's the most well known or something like that, but it was the most photographed and most recorded haunting.
That's why they've so
out
much.
there, you know what I mean? But that everyone has probably seen that famous picture when she's in midair, kind of screaming.
In the bedroom.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on those pictures?
I don't think they're. I mean, the pictures were caught.
Yeah.
They were caught, obviously, but I think she was jumping.
Yeah.
I just have always thought she was jumping, and they had explained them that the way this picture took the photos, there was like a second delay or whatever in the picture taken, and that's why it looks that she went the whole way across or something.
Yeah.
But I think she jumped. I don't think she left-eyed. That's just personal.
It's hard not to say.
Very hard.
It's hard not.
Unless you had video footage of it.
Yeah.
It's just even. Yeah.
But even the way she's standing or in midair,
The way
it's
her
like
body
she
is,
jumped.
it looks like she jumped. Yeah.
Looks like she
The
jumped,
amount of effort.
And that's like
It was
again,
deadly pictures.
Yeah, and like don't forget, it's an 11-year-old child. Like
And they will mess and
Yeah,
they
of
will
course.
lie and they will. So that's why I don't. Too much of that doesn't bother me when I hear that, because two girls that age, they probably
Well,
would
the
be
family were
playing tricks.
traumatized. Like there's no doubt that the family, and would you believe, I'm the oldest one here, so I was born in 71. I actually vaguely remember that being on the news when I was a kid.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I vaguely remember it. Yeah,
Just imagine if you were the age you are now, you could have went over.
would have. Yeah.
With your audio recording.
No, I was 6 years of age. Imagine.
So Tina, you're of the same opinion, Billy.
I'm the same opinion as Tina.
And
Yeah.
Jake, what's your thoughts on those pictures?
Yeah, I feel like they probably should have recorded video of all that was going on instead of picture. I know back then it was a bit harder, and I was just thinking to myself, if they were that terrified, why were they taking time out to fake pictures? Like,
The mind does weird things when you're afraid. You know what I mean? So the kids could have been just
I think
having a
they were
moment of.
released as levitating, though they weren't kind of.
But that was the adults that released that. You know what I mean? The kids probably were like, no, don't. Or because she did say some of the stuff was fake. Like that was the people who took the responsibility. That was their responsibility, or took the photos. Sorry, that's their responsibility to release the photos.
Yeah.
You know, and say what? Oh, she's levitating.
I just feel like it's a weird thing, you know, if she was that terrified.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a thing that a normal person would do. You know?
Yeah.
Just
It's just I
personal kind of.
always kind of
thoughts.
found that picture. It's the one where she's in midair and her legs kind of, for want of a better word, it's like a right degree, the knees bent
Yeah,
in the air and her hands are down. Kind
like
of
if she's in the
screaming.
shape of a crucifix when she went up, that would have been a bit more.
Well, that'd be querying that. Yeah, to me, it's still a young child.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that, like, mightn't have a full grasp on the seriousness of the world at that age. But it's very hard. If those recordings, if anyone can see me now, I'm doing my lovely air quotes here. If those recordings are real and they were taken from that girl, it's very hard, in my opinion, to fake it.
Yeah.
For that, you know, the length of time apparently that's meant to have been.
Yeah, the one thing that has me is I'll tell you that there's two things that have me about this whole thing, which is the statements from the people that had no attachment to the family. To me, that's pretty credible. And also the voice.
Yeah.
So the voice, I thought she was putting that voice on. She could have put it on until the specialists came forward and said that her voice box wouldn't.
Yeah, but
it wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah,
You
like
know, so
99.99% of people can put on a voice. You know what I mean?
but it's to carry it.
It's to carry and to, like, the length. I'm assuming. Like, I've
So
heard.
that's what's got
I think
me.
she said some things that nobody knew that Bill Wilkins was.
Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting. The Ouija board's in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start.
And if I remember correctly, that is in The Conjuring 2. It was like a home. Now I don't know if if that was for the movie or not. It was like a homemade one, kind of spirit talking board, whatever you want to call it. But apparently that's the activity started then.
Okay.
Well, listen, you know, You shouldn't have been playing with a Ouija board. And actually, back in the day, they'd get Ouija boards as a present.
Oh yeah.
Now,
yeah.
maybe not in the 70s. Actually, maybe in the
They would.
70s.
Oh yeah.
Would the 70s, would it still have been a child's present at
Yeah.
that stage?
Oh, I'd imagine so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Imagine
Absolutely.
So cool.
So. So cool.
I'm a child of the 70s, I remember. Every Christmas got a Ouija board.
Does your one just randomly levitate
The other
away?
one
Does
just
it?
levitated out the window.
I got every year a Ouija board and a bag of coal
And a broomstick.
and a broomstick.
Oh,
I know we talked in the last episode. Would you live in that house?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'd live in it. I don't know if I'd like to live over there, but I'd definitely stay there. Definitely,
night or two?
stay there. For a week or two, I'd say.
A week or two, yeah.
Proper investigation, yeah.
Okay. What is? Tina, I'm assuming you're the same answer, are you?
No, I'd live there.
Would you live there? Okay.
Yeah, I'd live there. I don't think there's anywhere that I wouldn't live.
I think for me,
For me, with my job, that's the only thing. Getting back to work would be pretty difficult.
I think for me, because remember we talked about the Amityville, obviously with the Turban murders and all that happened there. It's different, I think, if someone passes away in a house.
Yeah.
Just, I think it was a hemorrhage or something. I think
That's
Bill
right,
Wilkinson
yeah.
had, if I remember correctly. I don't think that bothers me, because it's not someone. There's not an evil act
It
done.
wasn't a gruesome
Exactly. What do you think is the most interesting aspect of the? We've kind of answered it, but what do you think is the most interesting aspect? Or sorry, Jack, would you live there? Never asked you.
No, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Just I'd go over and all, but I wouldn't live there. No.
Yeah, I don't think it bothers as much as the Amityville.
No.
But yeah, it's interesting. What's the most interesting aspect of the case, do you think?
Oh, the voice.
The voice, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you would say that audio.
Yeah, that's
Mr. Audio.
just my opinion. And just a little disclaimer, guys, we are making light of some of the subjects in this haunting, but we do take it very seriously. We know those people went through a very traumatic time,
100%.
so
Yeah.
we're absolutely not joking at them. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you find the audio the most interesting. What do you think?
The length of the investigation just, it went on.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that were involved in it. And, I find all that interesting,
Yeah. It's just interesting, yeah, when the police say,
That's what I was just about to say, yeah. Especially because back then, like, they had so much to lose. Like, you'd
Yeah.
lose your career over that back then.
like the police said, oh yeah, especially that the policewoman that went in there and she said the chair moved on its own.
And she didn't even make an issue when it moved or something. It was only afterwards that she said it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, she didn't jump and scream and make it. I think
Oh,
she
right,
held
yeah,
it together.
yeah.
As far as I know, she held it together, and then it was outside. Then she
Yeah.
sort of accepted the fact that the chair did move and she
Yeah.
did see it. It's things like that that I find really interesting.
Yeah.
And the people who seen the girl levitating, like, they were pretty serious about what they seen as
Yeah.
well. But then, I don't know mentally what way they are. Or,
Exactly, yeah.
you don't know. But there was a lot of people who came forward and said... Now, there was also a lot of people that came forward and said it was rubbish.
Oh yeah.
And that it was all a money racket and a hoax and a... So I'm not saying that everybody...
You're
came
going to get some
forward.
skeptics who are... What's the word? Who are diehard skeptics, and they just will not accept anything.
Don't be convinced either way.
Yeah,
No matter what.
there's not will convince them, even if it happened in front of them, And they can
Jay,
be quite nasty about it sometimes as well.
yeah. Oh no, whatever about voicing your opinion, just have, what I mean? Be
Bit of
respectful about
respect.
Yeah, a bit of
Always.
respect.
Jake, what would you think is the most interesting aspect of it?
A lot of people reported like Lego and marbles coming out
Yes.
of thin air and all.
Oh really? Yeah.
Being thrown, like...
Thrown at force. Like,
Oh, sure.
One of them got a cut in his forehead.
Yeah, but
one of
wasn't
the
that
That's actually a
journalists.
poltergeist trait
Morris,
as
I
well,
think.
Jake, actually. That's a very good point.
Was it Morris or was
One
it
of the
Morris
others.
or Playfair?
But they were swirling around or so, and they were just being flung
Flung at
from...
'em.
thin-
like Lego wouldn't be heavy, you'd have to
Yeah.
be thrown at a good force to leave a mark on you.
Yeah.
like.
To
You ever walk
scratch
on
or-
Lego?
No, I've never watched.
Step on it? Jesus.
Or marble on the stairs. No, that's dangerous.
Lego, I think, would...
Here's a question for you. If you were living, and if that was happening in a house 3 doors away from you, and you're getting up in the morning and you're after getting your breakfast and stuff like that, You're just walking out through your front door, getting into the car and going to, and you just glance across to the front door of that house. What would your first thoughts be, do you think?
So hold on, what was the question?
What was the question?
You're living just 3 doors away from that a house that has stories like that coming from it, and you're just going out in the morning after having your breakfast, etc. You're going to work, and you just glance over. What do you think would be your first thoughts?
House swap.
You want a house swap?
What do you reckon, Tina?
Like, would you think, like, why aren't the windows and doors banging and knocking and like, what would you think? Would you doubt it, do you think?
Yeah, like I just be
Are you
driving
thinking
by wondering what's going on.
Are you saying from our point of view now as paranormal investigators?
Just right now. What do you
or
think?
as like eyewitnesses to something but we weren't interested in the paranormal? What context do you mean?
I suppose the question I'm asking, would you be worried if there were stories like that?
Like, let's say living here, if there was stories of 2 doors up, no, I wouldn't be one bit
No,
worried.
I wouldn't either.
Would you question it? Would you say, come on now?
I wouldn't even take notice unless I was asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jack, what would you?
I wouldn't worry about it.
Wouldn't cast it a thought.
No.
I think I'd be going, want to know more.
Yeah, I would, but you'd have
I
to.
don't want to know more,
you'd
but
have to
if you're just
approach it
driving by it, I wouldn't be taking
Yeah, you have to approach it with caution and.
Yeah. So that was the 70s, and again, we talked last episode. There was a few cases in the 70s that are very prominent. The Amityville, I think the Enfield, obviously the Enfield. I think the Hinsdale house was the 70s as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that the 70s?
I think I could be completely wrong there now.
You put up a post today, wasn't it? The Hinsdale
Well, I
house.
heard of Enfield before I heard of the Amityville.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would have been the other way around now, just from the movie. I'd say.
Well, I remember I was saying earlier, I vaguely remember it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I have heard about that before.
Yeah.
Conjuring House as well.
The Conjuring House. Yeah, there's a few, and these are things that we possibly might cover in the coming episodes. But so it was Janet and Margaret were the two, but there's also, I think if I remember correctly, there's 4 children.
Was there? I only seen the 2 girls.
Yeah, there's 4 children.
I think it's centred around the 2 girls.
Yeah.
Activity.
I think Billy, was that the one? Was it Billy I
I
said?
would love the other 2 kids.
See, that's
They
what I'm- that's-
absolutely were ignored for a few years while that was going on.
Welcome to my world, Tina.
Absolutely
It's horrible.
ignored.
Joke.
And like, she was a single mother with 4 kids, which I'm guessing is hard enough as it is.
Absolutely.
But let's take it as that was all happening. We'll take it from that side first of all.
Take it that's real. Like,
Take it
100%
it's real and all
Yeah.
that's happening. First of all, because of quite hard to live in that house.
It would be, and especially for the poor children. You know what I mean? Like, terror. Like, it's scary. The world's scary enough as it is without something like that happening that you can't see and
Yeah.
you don't
At
know what
least
it
the 2
is.
kids, though, had each other. And they had your man Morris. He seemed to be very good to them as well.
Yeah.
The mother, she went downhill. Like, a lot of it went on her shoulders. Like, she had nobody.
Yeah, but
So-
imagine watching your kids go through that. Like, and you
I know.
couldn't- If you couldn't
I
help
know.
them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd lose your shit. Like,
But I know people were going to the house and they said that they had seen the mother, then they seen her again and she was worse, and then they
Oh
seen
yeah.
her like
Yeah.
she
it was taking its toll. Like,
exhausted
Yeah.
from all
Yeah.
this going on.
But like, imagine trying to look for help in that scenario.
Yeah, who would you?
well,
Who
in
do you talk
today's
to?
society, it would be a lot easier. But again, as I reiterated about earlier, like back in the 70s, like things were a lot different.
Do you think it'd be easier today?
I think it'd be a lot easier today. Like, you've got
Oh, it's more
paranormal
accessible.
teams, more accessible. You can look stuff up.
Help.
Do you know what I mean, on the
I
internet, and
suppose.
there's more psychological help. There's more.
Yeah.
more
Oh well,
everything,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
You know, but back then there wasn't. Like,
Well,
and a
like-
lot of people would turn their nose up to it. You know, and
Like it's
ridicule them.
it's a big step to take though. When if this stuff is happening in your house,
they got bullied a lot in school over it
Yeah.
as well. You know, so
and like this stuff is happening to your 4 kids, and you, as you say, bullying, and the next minute you're taking the next step. Right, I need help now.
yeah.
But I know it's going to be in the back of everyone's mind. If I say what's really happening here, what are people going to think? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a big step. Whichever way you look at it, it's a very big
Yeah.
step to ask for help. And I know for a fact, if it was me, the first thing I'd be thinking is going, what are people going to say?
And people probably think, oh, why didn't she just move out? But probably had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's say if something like that kicked off in your house, Chris, would you go to a priest to get the house blessed? In all fairness, without any messing, would you go get the house blessed?
It would be first protocol. So what I mean by that, I'd leave a couple of, just to see what is actually.
Well, let's say you had left it and everything.
And I would.
And you'd go to a priest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just I was curious that.
Yeah.
Would you, Billy?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Would you, Jake?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Would we all go? Because I would as well. There'd be no harm in it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But I do think, like, again, even like that's a step to take, because you're going out to someone else to say, and what's that person going to think of what you're saying?
Yeah,
do you
no,
know what
it's
I mean?
a huge step. Yeah.
But 100% I'd be going, listen, I think there's something going on here. I need you to try help me out. But then, what if it still happens after that?
So what would you do then?
See, I don't know. I'd probably.
You'd have to call Gavin.
I'd put a boxing ring in the middle of the sitting room and say, right, it's you or me.
I'd nail all the furniture down and go for it.
Like the marbles.
Like the bottles of whiskey.
Sticker bricks. Wouldn't be Lego, it'd be sticker bricks. Or Meccano.
But no, isn't it? It's only when you chat about it like that. Where do you go next?
Yeah, so you go to the priest, you get the house blessed. Where do you go next?
Where do you go next?
Well, me, it would be Gavin.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, if you go to a team and look for help, they camp out in your house, or they, come down 3 times a week or every night, or, but they take over your life.
Yeah.
Because they're investigating it. They're not. That's all a team can do. A team can investigate.
And say yes or no, there is something here.
There might be
but
something,
you're getting
something
them
here.
in.
Because you're never going to have.
Oh no, that's exactly.
You probably have proof in regards to a photograph or a video or recording or something, but like you're not there at 2 a.m, 10 past 12 at night when the kids are terrified. And,
You see, that's the thing.
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
And can you imagine? That's a feeling I'd say is very unique to a situation like that.
We've all been scared in locations like probably not Chris, but or Jake or me. But Tina's been scared in locations. And
I've been
no,
a
we're
little bit
all joking
squeamish.
aside. Like everyone gets nervous, and like even if they say they don't, and that's okay. But imagine what it's like for an 11-year-old child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have something.
Listen, if that was going on, they'd be terrified.
100%.
Yeah.
But think about as well, it's a feeling, I say, it's, as I was saying, very unique to that situation. You imagine when your house is full of investigators and all the people with the best of neighbours and people with the best of intentions, etc., etc., etc. But think about, as you were saying, Billy, 12 o'clock that night when everyone disappears.
Everyone's gone home. They can't go
And next
home.
minute, imagine, or there's nothing happening. You're waiting
That's
for the
it.
stuff to happen as a mother or a father, and you're trying to protect your kids, and you're just right. The house is empty. They're all asleep,
Waiting.
and it's just silent. And you're right. Just waiting for it.
Soon.
I'm just waiting for it. You know what?
But then you've got sorry Tina for cutting across you, the other end of that coin, which is tough on the family as well, is because they've got people coming in taking photographs, blah 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 blah, and then those people are going out going, there's nothing going on in there, so then they've got the double end of the, I mean, which is really
You see,
tough.
that's what happened, because one of the journalists came, or a few of them came, it was on the documentary, and they came in, and Morris Gross was there, or Gross, whatever his name is. He was there as well, and the family and all, and they were saying, do this and do that and do this and do that, and there was nothing happening, and the journalists were sort of there scratching their head thinking, this load of rubbish, and they walked out. When it was finished, we'll call it a night. So the minute they packed up all their equipment and walked out, it got real. It started kicking off, and then they came back in, and then they witnessed things. I forget what they witnessed, but they witnessed things.
But what, let's forget about, I know we're talking about but let's think about something that's not just the Enfield Haunting. Think of it as is it an intelligent being that wants to just to torment that family and wants to make that family look uncredible as much as it possibly can.
Mentally unstable.
Break them down mentally, physically, the whole
Well,
lot.
they feed off negative energy apparently, but then you've got the theory that like this, if you lived in a house for 50 odd years and you died, there's these strangers coming into your house and they're doing things in your house that you don't want them to do. I mean, if you were alive and somebody moved into your house tomorrow, like, you'd be pretty pissed off. You know what I mean?
But
Like that's another theory that they say happens.
well,
Like
the thing is, if it was intelligent and there is investigators coming in, are you going to react, or are you just going to make the family look?
well,
Do you get what I'm saying to you?
If you're looking for a reaction from, say, you're attached to the family, you might like, if you're an entity or whatever you are, like you might be just happy to torment them and make them feel like they're going mad.
Yeah.
Because that gives you more energy.
That's what
so
I'm saying.
when
Yeah.
when everyone's gone, it's like, okay, let's get
we'll
more
kick off
energy.
again.
Let's feed off this.
We'll kick off again.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting case, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
That's brilliant. And I would say to people who haven't watched the documentary, now the films, what films are made on
There's a
this?
3-part on Sky, which is absolutely
haven't seen that.
fantastic. It's brilliant.
I heard it's meant to be.
Really, really good, yeah.
Well, I went on YouTube and I put in the Enfield documentary. The whole documentary came up on
Really,
YouTube. Yeah. Just
It's
people who
fascinating.
haven't got whatever. But what were you going to say there, Chris?
The Conjuring 2
yeah,
is
don't watch them to get a feel for
Yeah,
the
it's
Enfield.
glamorized kind of.
Yeah, no, watch the documentaries. Now all those films, The Conjuring, and they're all brilliant.
yeah.
But just to get a proper look on what happened, go for the documentary.
It's more grassroots, isn't it? Documentary,
the Conjuring isn't really like the Enfield. I know it's based
It's
loosely.
Hollywooded out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the documentary is very good, and they have Janet and the sister years later talking on the documentary, don't they?
Yeah.
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 And they still say it's true, but they
Like-
messed.
I read a thing there today as well. The whole thing of in the movie, the upside down crosses and all that didn't happen.
Yeah, none
That
of
was
that.
all put in as a, you know what I mean? And which is, listen, if you're going to make a movie, you want to make it as scary as you possibly
Oh
can.
yeah,
as well, like,
exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were saying as well, Morris was saying it was so weird because they'd all be sitting and there'd be nobody else in the house and there would be a bang on the roof.
Yeah.
And they would walk over to that side of the room where the bang was, and then the bang would be on the opposite side, and they'd all run over there,
Yeah.
and then it would be in the wall on the opposite side, and then in the wall on the other side. They were saying literally it moved through the walls, the floors, the ceiling.
Yes.
It was literally playing games the whole time it played games.
Yeah. It's a fascinating case. Absolutely fascinating.
I suppose for an investigator as well, if you're spending that much time with a family like that, it probably becomes part of your life as well, nearly, wouldn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd have empathy for the family.
Yeah.
That's number one thing that you'd have to have anyway. Like you couldn't go in just. You know what I mean?
Well,
'Cause
they
you have to-
sent the mother and the kids away for a week. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
that's right. Yeah.
They sent them away and they had a fantastic week when they were away.
Yeah,
There was
that's right.
nothing, the haunting didn't follow them and they had a great week. Then they came back to normal
That's
and
right.
it took
yeah.
its toll again on them, they said.
Yeah. And that was like, remember the case here in Ireland, and what was that? Remember where it followed them? What was that?
Oh yeah, the Cunean,
That's the one. Yes.
the
that's the one.
poltergeist, that followed them to America.
Yeah, on the ship and all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is that's an interesting one as well. But yeah, it's just it's definitely an interesting case. I think as well, people just jump on, like when she says, yes, we did fake some of the stuff. Oh yeah, that's
That's
fake.
it. The whole lot's fake.
The whole lot's
yeah.
fake. You know what I mean? It might be something that a child might do, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, but they couldn't fake a whole case. I'm thinking,
For that
listen,
long?
Oh no, yeah, what I mean is it might be something that a child might do just to see, will to catch us out.
It was
You
that,
get what I mean?
yeah,
In
they were
that,
investigating for a very long time. They would have cut it out.
yeah.
Like at some point, they would have cut something out and said, "Right, this whole thing is fake."
these kids didn't have a lot of attention. They were just average, I'm not saying, but they just didn't have a lot of attention. So they loved all this attention. I think there was a lot of people coming in and out, and it was just
Yeah.
changing the
But
life.
Chris would understand.
Something
He's average.
different. Average.
Not royalty like us.
Absolutely. No problem with that.
Just average like yourself.
I know. I love being average.
One last question I've got, it just popped into my head there. If that was your sister or brother sitting in that room speaking like that and saying this levitate, all this kind of stuff, and this voice is coming through saying not the nicest things in the world, and anyway, you know where I'm going, would you be scared? Of the person now, not
if
the...
you were that age.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you get what I mean? Would you be scared of the person now, or the spirit? We'll say that's.
You'd be scared of both, I presume, because the person can physically do something, so you'd be scared of what the spirit could do through the person, or vice versa.
I think there would be definitely
especially in the dark, like if you're in the same room or something.
There'd be a certain percentage of it there going, you don't know when this is going to kick off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like. Shite would I be spending? I wouldn't be sharing my room with her. No, I wouldn't if she was my sister. I'd be putting her in the attic.
Jesus.
That's
See what
lovely,
she
Tina.
wants up there.
So Jake, and I suppose the same question to you. If some of your siblings, we're not going to name them, but if would you have an issue, like babysitting or anything at all like that? And I don't like the way you're smiling. You probably have an issue already. But
Yeah,
if
all
only-
the issues are already there.
but if there was one
Issues
of them, issues already there. But if there was one of them behaving in a way like that, like if you were that age, or if you're 15 and Tina asked you, would you mind babysitting tonight? I need to get out of the house.
No.
You wouldn't be doing it.
He'd lock them into a room or lock them out the back, or like he wouldn't be compassionate or scared. He'd literally lock them somewhere and then
Get out of the house.
Just into my own
Send
room.
them into neighbours, just they're grand. If they levitate, just give them some popcorn, they'll be fine.
Well, that's the last of my questions, I suppose. But yeah, no, overall it's definitely an interesting case. There's a lot of stuff out there about it.
anybody who's listening, go to the documentary on one of the YouTubes. Like, definitely.
Need to check it out myself.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, I can't believe you haven't watched that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, though.
I must
You'll
know.
actually, yeah, you'll be hooked when you watch it.
Yeah, like it's interesting.
Like I think I remember stuff years ago, and I found they were looking at the studying of the pictures and all that, but I haven't seen that most recent one.
I have to.
No, I'll definitely check it out.
And
But
they
anyway,
interview a good few people. But that is the end of this week's episode 20.
20?
God.
20. That's like another 80 episodes and we'll be on to 100.
On to 100. We'll have to do something. We'll have to
We're
do something
halfway
special
there.
for that.
Yeah, we're 3/4 kind of the way there, kind of quarter the way there.
So I will say goodbye for me.
Yeah.
Like,
And Chris, and as always, guys, stay spooky.
You have been listening to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. Intro and outro music, Nothing to be Scared of by Kakuru. Main theme background music, Exploring Wonderland by Christian Anderson. Intro, outro and main theme music and sound effects sourced through the Epidemic Sound app. PRI podcast recorded and produced by Jake and edited and mixed by Bill using Adobe Audition. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, so why not join us for our very next Supernatural podcast coming very soon.